coming to this place and this gathering and this, alhamdulillah, we've just been blessed to recite the whole Burda. It might have been long for some of us. There's a lot, especially if you're not familiar with the Arabic, but it's important that we have these gatherings in which we come together to remember the Prophet ﷺ and remember Allah. This is part of our spiritual nourishment. We need physical nourishment, we need food and drink, but we also need the spiritual nourishment which comes in these kind of gatherings. Yeah. So it's important. How often do you get together with other people?
We try to.
Whenever we can. Whenever you can. Alhamdulillah, that's a blessing. It's a blessing. Because these are the gatherings which give spiritual blessing, spiritual nourishment. They also have the effect of deflecting harm in a town, in an area where the people are getting together to remember Allah. The harm is deflected from that place. So you're actually a source of rahmah, you're a source of mercy for the people of this vicinity, and people of this area, just by you really coming together to remember Allah and His member, His messenger. And they say that the angels, when we look up at the sky, we see the stars. We see the stars shining. The angels look down upon the earth and they see the places in which Allah is being remembered, the houses, the masajid, the places. They shine like stars upon the earth, just like the stars. When we look up at the stars, they shine. Because most of the dunya is in darkness, because it's in a kind of heedlessness or ghafla. But when the angels look down upon the earth, they see the places where Allah has been mentioned as being shining like stars. So this place, inshallah, is constantly shining like a star. So the nur and the things that are going on here and the teaching. It's important for our young people, for our children as well, just to, even if they don't understand what's going on, the fact that they're just playing, they're running around, they're listening to what's going on, there's things that subliminally, if you like, enter into their hearts, enter into their minds. They're picking up little things. This Burda is an amazing work. It's like every verse, there's like probably 80 or more different commentaries written upon this. These words have huge meaning. They say it's almost like the Quran. You just never read it. Whenever you read it, new meanings are opened up to you, a new understanding. You don't get bored of it as you like. You might get bored of another book or another poem, but this one of the kind of so it's miraculous speech or words of Imam Busayri. So if we can keep gathering together and remembering Allah and remembering the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, this will have a good effect, and it brings the hearts together. It brings the hearts together. Just to mention just a couple of verses, just for barakah. This is probably one of the greatest of poems written in praise of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And why people say why write? What's the need of praising the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? He's already been praised in the Quran by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. There's verses in the Quran which can never be matched. We can make any language we can compose, and we can never match the praise that Allah has given to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in the Quran. But really, when we praise him, we're praising our own words are being praised by praising him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We get blessing of praising him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and inshallah that pleases him. Nothing. Yet the Prophet in his own time, the Prophet had his poets that praised him, and that pleased him. He doesn't need to be praised, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but it pleased him that they were praising him and getting the reward for doing that. Allah himself praises Allah, and praises the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Quran. He said, وَإِنَّكَ بِأَعْيُنِنَا. Just in two words, Allah said that you are in. If you translate it literally, you would say you are in our eyes, which doesn't really make sense because Allah doesn't have physical eyes like we have. But it means that the Prophet is so dear to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala that he's constantly in his gaze. The Prophet doesn't do anything except Allah is in his care. Except he's in the care of Allah and he's in the gaze of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Everything he did was under Allah's direct gaze and direct care. So the closer we are to the Prophet ﷺ, the closer we are to that gaze and that care from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. And in the verse which talk about the Qibla, Allah says that perhaps that we will show you a Qibla that you're pleased with. The Prophet that when the Prophet first came to Medina, the Qibla was to Jerusalem, to Bayt al-Maqdis. They're praying in this, and the Prophet was sad that he wasn't praying to Mecca, because Mecca was so dear to him. It was his home where he was born, where he come from, and he was longing that the Qibla be to Mecca. But he didn't ask Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Allah just said, perhaps we will show you a Qibla which pleases you. Allah wanted to change the Qibla, partly to please the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So you can go on and on and on. There's just verses that talk about the station of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But just in the third chapter we read that this talks about the praise of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That Imam Busayri just yubaligh. He goes to such a beautiful extent in praising the Prophet. He begins by saying, ظَلَمْتُ سُنَّةَ مَنْ أَحْيَا ظَلَامَ إِلَّا أَنْ اشْتَقَتْ قَدَمَاهُ ضُرَّ مِنْ وَرَمٍ. He said that Imam al-Ghazali said that even before I even start praising him, I just realize how far I fall short of being even to be able to praise him. ظَلَمْتُ سُنَّةَ مَنْ. I've wronged the sunnah. I failed to follow this one. I'm trying to praise him, but I don't even like embody. I'm not even near to him. ظَلَمْتُ سُنَّةَ مَنْ أَحْيَا ظَلَامَ. I've wronged the sunnah of the one who gave life to the night. Ihya al-layl. Prophet ﷺ's nights were alive. You have something called Ihya al-layl. On Laylat al-Eid, for example, the night before Eid, it's sunnah to give life to the night of Eid. Meaning that you're not partying, but you're giving life to the Eid. In other words, spending that night in worship and in dhikr and in remembrance of Allah. That's the true Eid, is celebration. The Prophet ﷺ, every night was ihya, every night of the Prophet ﷺ had life in it. He was never heedless of his Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the nights bore witness to what he did and the time he spent with his Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. ظَلَمْتُ سُنَّةَ مَنْ أَحْيَا ظَلَامَ إِلَّا أَنْ اشْتَقَتْ قَدَمَاهُ ضُرَّ مِنْ وَرَمٍ. He was someone that spent he stood in prayer so long and to so much time that his feet became swollen. They became swollen. It became sore from the amount of time he spent standing in worship of his Lord sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Sayyidah Aisha said, how can you do this? Why do you do this when you've been forgiven your previous sins and your future sins? You're faultless. You've got nothing. We're the people that have things to worry about. We're the people that should be standing in front of Allah, because we have a hisab. We have things to take into account. We had before. We've got things to worry about. But the Prophet ﷺ didn't have anything to worry about. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His sins have been forgiven. He'd been given. أَلَمْ نَشْرَحْ لَكَ صَدْرَكَ وَوَضَعْنَا عَنْكَ وِزْرَكَ وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. He'd been given everything from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Already been, but he was still seeking to go further, and still seeking to worship Allah, and still seeking to stand in front of his Lord. And what was his response to this? He said, أَفَلَا أَكُونَ عَبْدًا شَكُورًا. Should I not be a grateful slave? Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Should I not be someone who has immense gratitude for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? وَقَلِيلًا مِنْ عِبَادِي الشَّكُورِ. As you have before. Only a few of my slaves are truly grateful, have truly got shukr. The Prophet ﷺ had that. Although all that he'd given from Allah, it just increased him in shukr. It increased him in gratitude. It increased him in trying to come closer, trying to spend his hours and his breaths and his minutes coming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's a huge lesson to us that all we have is a short time. All we have is a few short days, and we have time flies, as we say. Time passes very quickly. And what remains of that time? What is it that will remain for us in the next life? So we ask for an increase in all that is good. And if there's one thing that our teachers emphasize, it's just the one who lowers himself for Allah's sake, the one who's in a broken state for Allah, the one who humbles himself, the one who realizes their need, as we heard before, realizes their iftiqar. If they realize this, that's the best state they can be in. The lower you are, the more you lower yourself to Allah, the more Allah raises you, subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the more you raise yourself, the more Allah can potentially lower you. So the Prophet ﷺ was the most humble of people. No one lowered himself to his Lord, but more than the Prophet ﷺ. When he came into Mecca, on the Fath, when he was given victory in Mecca, how do armies come in when they're given victory? When they come in with the bands playing and the ticker tape and the with glory and the arrogance, but the Prophet ﷺ came into Mecca with his head. They said his head was so low that it was almost touching the saddle of his camel or his horse, because he realized it wasn't him, it was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna fatahna laka fathan mubina. We have given you a clear victory. A clear victory. So that was the state of the Prophet ﷺ, in absolute humility to his Lord. He said, إنما أكل كما يأكل العبد وأجلس كما يجلس العبد. I sit as a slave sits, and I eat as a slave sits. He was proud of the fact that he was a slave. Many of us, we're in an egotistical society, but as Muslims we're proud of our ubudiyah, our fakhr, and our pride and our honor and our majesty is in being abid, is being slaves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when Allah honors the Prophet in the Quran, he calls him abd. Subhanalladhi asra bi'abdihi laylan min al-masjid al-harami. I want praise be to the one who was transcendent, is the one who caused his slave to travel by night. His slave, the emphasis on slave. He honored him by calling him his abd. So the most honor we can have is realizing our ubudiyah and our slavery to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if that's all we have, is just realizing that we are أنتم الفقراء والله هو الغني. That we are the fuqara and Allah is the ghani. And we are in absolute need of Allah and Allah has no need of us subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, I won't delay any further. Habib Faisal is here to benefit us inshallah.